Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकैः चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. By His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 1, Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. So this chapter is divided into 3 sections, where we are going to see Manu has 3 daughters, Ākūti, Devahūti and Prasūti. So the genealogical line of Ākūti is being explained in text 1 to 9. So there are 3 sections in this chapter. Text 1 to 9, it is genealogical line of Ākūti. Then 10 to 47, genealogical line of Devahūti. Because Devahūti had one son, Kapila Muni, who took sannyas and went to Ganga Sagar to perform the tapasya. He is the Supreme Lord himself. But she had 9 daughters, Kardama Muni and Devahūti. So their genealogical line will be described in 10 to 47. And the next is 48 to 66. We will see the genealogical line of Prasūti. So 1 to 9 Ākūti, 10 to 47 is Devahūti, and 48 to 66 is Prasūti. So this is how this chapter is going to progress. So currently we are at text 5. So we are at text 5. Aninye swagraham putryaha putram vititarošitam Svāyambhuva Manu Ruci Dakṣiṇā. Translation.
Svāyambhuva Manu very gladly brought home the beautiful boy named Yajña, and Ruci, his son-in-law, kept with him the daughter Dakṣiṇā. Purport. Svāyambhuva Manu was very glad to see that his daughter Ākūti had given birth to both a boy and girl. He was afraid that he would take one son, and that because of this his son-in-law Ruci might be sorry. Thus, when he heard that a daughter was born along with the boy, he was very glad. Ruci, according to his promise, returned his male child to Svāyambhuva Manu and decided to keep the daughter whose name was Dakṣiṇā. One of Lord Viṣṇu's name is Yajña because he is the master of the Vedas. The name Yajña comes from Yajushamapatihi, which means Lord of all sacrifices. In the Yajurveda, there are different ritualistic prescriptions for performing yajñas, and the beneficiary of all such yajñas is the Supreme Lord Viṣṇu. Therefore, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yajñarthat karmanaha. One should act, but one should perform one's prescribed duties only for the sake of Yajña or Viṣṇu. If one does not act for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or if one does not perform devotional service, then there will be reactions to all one's activities. It does not matter if the reaction is good or bad. if our activities are not detailed with the desire of the Supreme Lord, or if we do not act in Krishna consciousness, then we shall be responsible for the results of all our activities. There is always a reaction to every kind of action, but if actions are performed for Yajña, there is no reaction. Thus, if one acts for Yajña or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is not entangled in the material condition. For it is mentioned in the Vedas and also in Bhagavad Gita that the Vedas and the Vedic rituals are all meant for understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. From the very beginning, one should try to act in Krishna consciousness. That will free one from the reactions of material activities. Hare Krishna.
So here, Svāyambhuva Manu became very glad and brought home Svagruham Putriya. Putriya means the son born to his Putri. That is, and he was very happy to bring the beautiful child Yajña, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Svāyambhuva Manu was very glad to bring home the male child, and the female child, Dakṣiṇā, he kept with Ruci, because otherwise he felt that both the children are home, then Ruci may feel very bad or very sad. And thus, Ruci, being very true to his own promise, he returned the male child to Svāyambhuva Manu and decided to keep the daughter. And Srila Prabhupada explains the word Yajña here. Yajña is Yajusham Patihi is Yajña. That means that the Lord is the master of all the sacrifices. Right? Bhoktaram Yajña Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So Sarva Yajña is being offered. He is the master of all the sacrifices. And this is how the Yajurveda also explains, Bhagavad Gita also explains, Yajñārthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. All our activities, they have to be performed in relation to the Supreme Lord. Right? Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi yat. Yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Otherwise, what happens? There is karma bandhana. And karma bandhana means there could be good karma bandhana or bad karma bandhana. Sometimes people feel that a good reaction is very good, Good reaction is very good. Good reaction is good, but that good also will keep one binded to the material world. So all reactions have to be avoided. And therefore, one has to perform the activities in relation to the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada says, therefore, from the beginning, one should try to act in Krishna consciousness, and thus one will be free from material actions and reactions. So here is Yajña, Yajusham Patihi, the Lord of all sacrifices. Text 6. Tam Kamayanam Bhagavan Uvaha Yajusham Patihi Tushtayam Toshamapanna Ajayat Dvadashatpajan. Translation?
Translation: the Lord of the ritualistic performance of Yajña later married Dakṣiṇā, who was anxious to have the personality of Godhead as her husband. And in this wife, the Lord was also very much pleased to beget 12 children. Purport: an ideal husband and wife are generally called Lakshmi Narayana to compare them to the Lord and the goddess of fortune. For it is significant that Lakshmi Narayana are forever happy as husband and wife. A wife should always remain satisfied with the husband, and a husband should always remain satisfied with his wife. In the Chanakya Shloka, the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandita, it is said that if a husband and wife are always satisfied with one another, then the goddess of fortune automatically comes. In other words, where there is no disagreement between husband and wife, all material opulence is present and good children are born. Generally, according to Vedic civilization, the wife is trained to be satisfied in all conditions, and the husband, according to Vedic instruction, is required to please the wife with sufficient food, ornaments, and clothing. Then, if they are satisfied with their mutual dealings, good children are born. In this way, the entire world can become peaceful. But unfortunately, in this age of Kali, there are no ideal husbands and wives. Therefore, unwanted children are produced, and there is no peace and prosperity in the present-day world. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. The Lord Yajña later married Dakṣiṇā, who was anxious to have the Supreme Lord as her husband. And they lived Lakshmi Narayan and begot the 12 children. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, ideal husband and wife They are called as Lakshmi Narayan. They are compared to, right? And Prabhupada writes here, Chanakya Niti, a wife should always remain satisfied with her husband, and a husband should always remain satisfied with his wife. And in Chanakya Niti, Chanakya also says something very beautiful. Chanakya says that, one, and this is where all our entire, the Vedic paradigm is so very scientific. And that's why before marriage, there is always the matching of the Kundali. It is not that, anybody marries anybody else. No. You very systematically match the Kundali. The temperaments are being matched. The psychophysical nature is being matched. And then, because what happens is, through husband or through wife, it is like, a lot of one's good, bad, everything, the karma is going to be delivered by that association together. Right. Later, the children being born and everything else. And law of karma works just precisely well. So a wife should always remain satisfied with her husband, and a husband should always remain satisfied with his wife. And Chanakya says, one should learn to be satisfied with three things in one's life. Okay. Of course, this is not to curtail one's ambition, but at the same time, one has to be satisfied with these three things. It is called as 3 or 4 things, Chanakya says. First thing is, he says that one should be satisfied with food that one is receiving. Second, he says that one should be satisfied with one's money that one has received. And third is, one should be satisfied with one's spouse that one has received. Right. And then, otherwise there is always a chance of dissatisfaction. And if husband and wife they are satisfied, then the goddess of fortune will reside in that house. Generally, people think goddess of fortune only means money, or that is just one part of money. Then there is Dhanya Lakshmi. There are, if you see, there are Ashtalakshmi. Ashtalakshmi, they are being described here. There is Dhanya Lakshmi, Bhagya Lakshmi. So it is not just money. Okay. So goddess of fortune is not just money. This is a very important thing. Right. And then automatically the good progeny, they are born. And thus one can lead a very happy, prosperous life. And this is we want in Krishna consciousness, that devotees, getting suitably married, those who are in student life, and they peacefully remain with their husband, with their wife, and husband and wife, they're satisfied in the house. This is very, very important. Otherwise, we may have money, but if by our dealings or somehow by the course of the action, if the house is like, Chanakya has some strong words to use, which we will not use, then one is not on the right track. If people, the Bhagavad Gita, there is a concept called as Yasminno Udvijate Loko, Lokonno Udvijate Chayah, Harsham Harshabhayodvegai Mukto Yah Sachame Priyah. The dealing of the husband should be such that the wife should be very pleased. And the dealing of the wife should be such that the husband also should be very pleased. By making people udvegata, that people frustrated with us, people cursing us, people crying because of us, or we crying because of somebody, we frustrated because of somebody. This is not a sign of very good devotional service. This is aikantiki hare bhakti utpata yaiva kalpate. Bhagavad Gita warns, our acharyas warn against this. So one need to be very peacefully situated. Sthani sthita shriti gatan. One should be very peacefully situated in one's ashram. Sometimes devotees feel that is Maya. That is not Maya. Right? This is Krishna's blessings on you. This is Krishna's blessings on us. So this is about Ruci and Dakṣiṇā. This is about Ruci handing over Dakṣiṇā to Yajña. And now look at the names also. There is Yajña, and Dakṣiṇā is, the consort of Yajña. Agni, consort of Agni is Swaha. So our, the way the Vedic, everything is so correlated and so interrelated. Text 7. Tosha pratosha santosha bhadrashandi idaspatihi dhamna kabir vibhusvaha sudeva rochana dvishata. So these are the 12 sons who are born to Yajña and Dakṣiṇā. Yeah, please. Translation.
The 12 boys born of Yajña and Dakṣiṇā were named Tosha, Pratosha,
Santosha, Bhadra, Shanti, Idapspati, Idma, Kavi, Vibhu, Svaha, Sudeva, and Rochana. Hare Krishna.
So these are the 12 sons, and they are not just symbolic. They were physically also born, and this is also happens when we perform yajna in our life. Then there is a tosha, pratosha, santosha. These are different levels of happiness. Bhadraha, all said, all auspiciousness. Shantihi, Idaspati. They were actually personalities. They were the 12 sons of Yajña and Dakṣiṇā. Text 8. Tuṣita namate deva asan svāyambhuvantare mariche mishra rishaya yajñā suraguna guneshwaraha. Translation.
During the time of Svāyambhuva Manu, these sons all became the demigods, collectively named the Tuṣitas. Marichi became the head of the 7 rishis, and Yajña became the king of the demigods Indra. Purport. During the life of Svāyambhuva Manu, 6 kinds of living entities were generated from the demigods known as the Tuṣitas, from the sages headed by Marichi, and from descendants of Yajña, king of the demigods, and all of them expanded their progeny to observe the order of the Lord to fill the universe with living entities. These 6 kinds of living entities are known as Manus, Devas, Manuputras, Amshavtaras, Sureshwaras, and Rishis. Yajña, being the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became the leader of the demigods Indra.
So now these personalities, during the time of the Svāyambhuva Manu, all these sons became demigods, and collectively they were called as Tuṣitaha. Marichi became the head of the 7 rishis. So these are the top positions. It's like a cabinet of the universe. There will be always the demigods. There will be always the king of the demigod, that is Indra, and there will be always the Saptarishi. Okay. So now Bhagavatam later we'll come to know in the next Manu's duration who will be the Saptarishi, and Ashwatthama is going to be one of them. There is nothing called as one is eternally condemned or one is for life, one is into hell or something. So here there are these names of the 6 types of personalities: Manus, Devas, Manuputras, and others up to Rishis. Yajna became the king, Indra, of these demigods. So sometimes, there are certain qualifications who can become Indra, and if in given time, if there is not a suitable personality who can become Indra, then the Supreme Lord himself becomes Indra and takes charge for a while. And this is how he continues. Text 9. Priyavata Uttanapādau Manuputrau Mahojasau Tatputro Pautran Ruptruptan Anuvrittam Tadantaram. Translation.
Svāyambhuva Manu's 2 sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, became very powerful kings, and their sons and grandsons spread all over the 3 worlds during that period. Hare Krishna.
Mahojasau, extremely powerful. Whom Svāyambhuva Manu's 2 sons, Priyavrata, Uttanapada. So Priyavrat and Uttanapad, they became very powerful kings. Later we'll see the activities of Priyavrat also. And their sons and the grandsons spread all over the 3 worlds during that period. Text 10. So now we have completed, this is the first 9 shlokas. It is about the genealogical line of Ākūti. Now from 10 to 47, we will be seeing the genealogical line of Devahūti. This is the section 2. Devahūtim adattat Kardamayatmajam Manuhum tat sambandhi Shruta-prayam bhavata gadato mama. Translation.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, quick.
Okay, sorry. My dear son, Svāyambhuva Manu handed over his very dear daughter Devahūti to Kardama Muni. I have already spoken to you about them, and you have heard about them almost in full. Thank you.
Yeah. So Devahūti was handed to Kardama Muni, and now let us see Kardama Muni and Devahūti's their progeny, who got married to whom, and how the universe expanded, filled with different personalities here. Text 11. Dakṣāya Brahmaputrāya Prasūtim Bhagavan Manu Prayachat Yatkritas Sarga Trilokyam Vitata Mahan. Translation.
Svāyambhuva Manu
Svāyambhuva
handed over his daughter Prasūti to the son of Brahma named Dakṣa, who was also one of the progenitors of the living entities. The descendants of Dakṣa are spread throughout the three worlds. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Svāyambhuva Manu handed over his daughter Prasūti. Okay. The previous verse was about Devahūti. Now this verse is about Prasūti. Okay. So I mean Prasūti is sister of Devahūti. We are yet to begin the Devahūti's genealogical continuation will happen from the next time. And the descendant of Dakṣa is also Prajapati, progenitors, and his descendants are across the three worlds. Text 12. Ya Kardama Sudha Prokta Nava Brahma Rishipatnayah Tasam Prasūti Prasavam Prochamanam Nibodhame. Translation.
You have already been informed about the 9 daughters of Kardama Muni who were handed over to 9 different sages. I shall now describe the descendants of those 9 daughters. Please hear from me. Purport. The third canto already described how Kardama Muni begot 9 daughters in this Devahūti and how all the daughters were later handed over to great sages like Marichi, Atri, and Vasishtha.
So Kardama Muni and Devahūti, they had 9 daughters and 1 son, Kapila. So now we will see which daughter got married to which Brahmarshi. Nava Brahmarshi Patnaya. So they were the Brahmarshis, and this is the next verse, text 13. Patni Marechastu Kala Sushuve Kardamatmaja Kashyapam Purnimanam Cha Yayo Apuritam Jagat. Translation.
Translation. Kardama Muni's daughter Kala, who was married to Marichi, gave birth to 2 children whose names were Kashyapa and Purnima. Their descendants are spread all over the world.
So Kala is the daughter of Kardama Muni. She got married to Marichi. Who is the Marichi? He was the head of the Saptarshis, right? Previous verse talked about. And their 2 children, Kashyapa and Purnima, their descendants are spread all over the world. Text 14. Purnima Sut Virajam Vishwagam Chaparantapa Devakulyam Harer Pada Sauchat Yabhut Sariddivaha. Translation.
My dear Vidura, of the 2 sons, Kashyapa and Purnima, Purnima begot 3 children, namely Viraja, Vishwaga, and Devakulya. Of these 3, Devakulya was the water which washed the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, and which later on transformed into the Ganges of the heavenly planets. Hare Krishna.
There is purport.
Purport of the 2 sons, Kashyapa and Purnima. Herein Purnima's descendants are described. An elaborated description of these descendants will be given in the 6th canto. It is also understood herein that Devakulya is the presiding deity of the river Ganges, which comes down from the heavenly planets to this planet and is accepted to be sanctified because it touched the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari.
Yeah. So this is personification of the deity of Ganga Devi, Devakulya. The 2 sons, Kashyapa and Purnima, right? So So married to 2 children, Kashyapa and Purnima. Purnima begot 3 children, namely Viraja, Vishwaga and Devakulya. And Devakulya is the world famous Ganga river, Ganga Mata, who is known as Charnamrita, the Supreme Lord. And this will be elaborately described. Everything, all this will come elaborate descriptions in the later cantos. So if one can see, Bhagavatam is one way, is all about Manu and the family of the Manu and in and around Manu. In that way. Okay, it is in and around the Supreme Lord, of course, but it is in and around Manu. It is always in and around Pandavas. It is in and around Narada Muni. So these are the personalities which are very predominant in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Text 15. Atre patni Anasūyā trinjagye yashasutan dattam durvāsasam somam Atma Isha Brahma Sambhavan. Translation.
Anasūyā, the wife of Atri Muni, gave birth to 3 very famous sons, Soma, Dattātreya, and Durvāsā, who were partial representations of Lord Viṣṇu, Lord Śiva, and Lord Brahmā. Soma was a partial representation of Lord Brahmā, Dattātreya was a partial representation of Lord Viṣṇu, and Durvāsā was a partial representation of Lord Śiva. Purport. In this verse, we find the words Atma Isha Brahma Sambhavan. Atma means the super soul or Viṣṇu. Isha means Lord Śiva, and Brahma means the 4-headed Lord Brahma. The 3 sons born of Anasūyā, Dattātreya, Durvāsā, and Soma, were born as partial representations of these 3 demigods. Atma is not in the category of the demigods or living entities because he is Viṣṇu. Therefore, he is described as Vibhinamsha Bhutanam. The supersoul Viṣṇu is the seed-giving father of all living entities, including Brahma and Lord Shiva. Another meaning of the word Atma may be accepted in this way. The principle who is the supersoul in every Atma, or one may say the soul of everyone, became manifested as Dattātreya because the word Amsha, part and parcel, is used here. In Bhagavad Gita, the individual souls
It's a
are
long
also...
purport, so we will read in 2 sections. Anasūyā, the wife of Atri Muni, gave birth to 3 very famous sons, Soma, that is Chandra, Dattātreya, and Durvāsā. Now, Soma, Dattātreya, and Durvāsā, they were Amsha of the partial representation of Atma Isha Brahma. So what is Atma Isha Brahma? Atma is the Supreme Lord Viṣṇu, Isha is Lord Shiva, and Brahma is Chaturmukhi Brahmaji. So Soma was the representation of Brahma, Dattātreya was the partial representation of Lord Viṣṇu, and Durvāsā was the partial representation of Lord Shiva. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains here that Atma Isha Brahma Sambhavan. Atma Isha Brahma Sambhavan. Okay, Atma means Lord Viṣṇu, and he is also called as Atma because he is Atma of the Atma. He is Paramatma, or he is, Sarvatma, and he is Atma, right? So he is the Atma of the Atma. He is Sarvatma. We have our Sarvatma Prabhu. I'll tell him this meaning also. Atma Isha. Isha is Lord Shiva, who is the master of the material universe. And there is Soma. Soma is Chandra Devata. So this is how all these personalities. So this is how Anasūyā got married to Atri. So we'll conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Gaura Bhakta Branda ki jai. Thank you,
Jai.
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Ruci. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Prabhupada. Hare
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Krishna.
everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.